Hey, what's up there, YouTubers? It's me again, Brian, aka Gamer55551, and I am back with a video review. And for this review, we're going to be taking a look at Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy for the Xbox Series X and S. I'm basing this off of my time playing on the Xbox Series S, though. The game is also available on the PS4, PS5, Xbox One, and PC via Steam. And while there is a version for the Nintendo Switch, it is worth pointing out that that is the cloud version, though. I also want to give my thoughts on the movie The French Dispatch, the newest one from Wes Anderson, though. I just came back from the theaters to see that from that movie, though. And if you're interested in any gameplay footage of Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, I'll have a link down in the description down below, or you can click on the card that appears up on this video. And it's worth pointing out to parents, though, that Guardians of the Galaxy is rated T for teens for ages 13 and up by the ESRB, while the movie The French Dispatcher is rated R for ages 17 and up, though. Now, even before the MCU started, though, I never really heard of the Guardians of the Galaxy, though. I'm pretty sure they existed and all, but I never really heard about them. Back when I was little, the ones I've heard were like, X-Men, Spider-Man, and maybe the Avengers and all. But the Guardians of the Galaxy, in my view, kind of blew up in 2014 with the release of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1 that was released during Marvel's Phase 2 strategy, directed by James Gunn, and that introduced us to Gamora, Drax, Groot, Rocket Raccoon, and Star-Lord and all. And it certainly had an interesting and unique style to the movie, though. Not only from the showing off the Marvel cosmic side, but also the 80s soundtrack and so forth, though. So it was certainly a good movie. This followed up by 2017's Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, and we're currently waiting for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, although there has been some bumps on the road trying to get to that, especially with some of the issues that emerged with James Gunn and all, but supposedly that has been resolved, to be exact, though. As far as its venture into video games go, there's only been really 2 video games I could think of in which the Guardians of the Galaxy have started. The first one was the Telltale's Guardians of the Galaxy video game, the point-and-click adventure, though, and then they made an appearance in 2019's Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, The Black Order, that was exclusive for the Nintendo Switch. So now they're starting into their third game though, and it's their own game, Guardians of the Galaxy. But this one is being published by Square Enix and being developed by Aulx Montreal. Now, I had reservations about Guardians of the Galaxy when Square Enix was going to publish the game, though, because their first Marvel game, The Avengers, did not exactly sit very well with a lot of people. Some of it has to do with them going with the live service. Some of them had to do with some of the decisions they made, and unfortunately, it has not received a great reputation and all. It certainly has joined the ranks of what happened with games like Anthem, to be exact, though. So I had my concerns going in with Guardians of the Galaxy. Now that the game is officially out, though, I honestly have to say that this game definitely surprised me, and it turned out to be much better than I thought it would be. But at the same time, it also kind of makes me a little bit angry at Square Enix and all, and how they've handled the Marvel license, though. So why don't we get started with the pros and cons, and we'll start off first with the pros, though. The first one has to do with the story, though, and I will say that the story of the game is definitely enjoyable, though. It shows the Guardians of the Galaxy dealing with a new threat, while also dealing with, the Nova Corps and visiting other areas, though, throughout the story, like Lady Hellblade, to basically nowhere and all. So it definitely has a little bit of that MCU vibe to it, though, since some of the characters look very, very similar to their MCU counterparts, though. But either way, the story is enjoyable, especially for those who are okay with it having that MCU Marvel Cinematic Universe vibe to it, though. The next thing I do want to talk about is basically how the game runs on the Xbox Series S. And based on my time with it, the game runs pretty well, though. I haven't really experienced any issues of any crashes or any major glitches to the point that made the game unplayable, though. One thing to do point out is that a while ago, the game was only running at 30 frames per second compared to what the Xbox Series X and the PS5 were, though. But now that they put out a recent update, though, you can now have, if you have it on Series S, you can now have the game running at 60 FPS, though, which is certainly good, although it's been reported that this is uncapped, so that might have an impact on gameplay for some folks. I have it run at 60 FPS, and so far I haven't really seen anything that had any issues with the gameplay, at least based on my time with it, though. But that might be different for some folks out there. But it's nice to know that the game runs well on the Series S, and it's nice that they give you the option to now be able to play the game at 60 FPS, though. The next thing I do want to talk about is the gameplay, and I will say the gameplay is fun, to be exact, though. Basically, throughout the game, you're playing as Star-Lord, though, and you have access to basically your element gun, though. You have your regular blasters, and then you have basically different elements. I've unlocked lightning and ice, though. Your regular gun, though, although it has unlimited ammo, though, it does have a cooldown period, and you'll see a meter that goes up. When it does, you have to wait for your gun to cool down, though. If you hit the button at the right time, there's sort of like a green section, though, you can do like an extra, you can recharge your gun very quickly and do like an extra blast and all that. You also have the ability to basically use different elements, though, and that's going to come in handy in some situations. There are some cases where there might be some puzzles that you have to use your element gun, like for example, for the ice part, though, you may have to freeze like a certain amount of water to cross over certain platforms, though, to it being used against certain enemies, as some enemies are going to be weak against certain elements from your element gun, though. You also have special abilities that you can basically use and even unlock as well, though. You'll basically get ability points, and you earn those after each battle, though. Now, some of the abilities will require you to have more than one, though. You might have to get 2 ability points or 3, though, and you can use them for your character, to be exact. On top of that, your other members have abilities as well, and there are times when you want to call them in to basically strike at the enemy. Like, for example, if you push the LB button on your Xbox controller, you could then choose to pick either any of the other members that are available. You can have them excuse me one second. You have them perform their special moves, to be exact, though. Now, there are times when you may have to rescue your other members, though, because they may be in trouble, though. So the gameplay, I will say, is fun and definitely enjoyable and all. And last but not least, though, is the soundtrack. And obviously, they got inspiration from James Gunn's Guardians of the Galaxy, because there are plenty of music in here from the 80s and all. There might be there's some heavy metal, excuse me, new wave and all. I mean, there's music like Frankie Goes to Hollywood, Relax, Billy Idol's White Wedding. So there are plenty of music too. Even freaking, for crying out loud, New Kids on the Block, Hanging Tough, for God's sakes. God, I haven't heard that song in a long, long time. So there's a lot of songs from the 80s that sort of somehow fits the vibe into it. So if you're like an 80s kid, some of these will bring back memories and all. But anyway, I love the 80s soundtrack in this game, though. So that's definitely a plus, though. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll get to part 2, which is the cons. Plus, I want to give my thoughts on the movie The French Dispatch. So, we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 2 of our video review of Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. So now that I gave you the pros, why don't we get started with the cons? And there's really only 3 cons I could think of in regards to my time with playing Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, though. The first one has to do with the soundtrack, though. Now, as I mentioned, I like the soundtrack and everything like that. And don't get me wrong, I think the music is good in the game. But at the same time, there is that part of me that kind of wish that there were certain other songs on there, though. I mean, don't get me wrong, like I mentioned, I don't have a problem hearing Frankie Goes to Hollywood, Relax, or anything like that. But part of me kind of wish that we heard maybe some music from, say, Oingo Boingo, like Weird Science, or maybe like Phil Collins, In the Air Tonight. I mean, that song was played in Vice City Stories. I don't see anything wrong with it in here, though. Or maybe Tears for Fears Shout, or I mean Peter Gabriel. Like, I would have loved to hear, either Big Time, Sledgehammer, Games Without Frontier, In Your Eyes. But I'm sure there are other songs some of you out there may have wished that they added into the game, though. Some of it could be licensing issues that could prevent that, and to me, that is a possibility. I can't rule that out, though. But in either way, though, it does make you kind of wish that there were certain songs in the game and all. The next thing I do want to talk about is terms of your team members, though. Now, for me, I don't have a problem with playing Star-Lord or anything like that. And the AI partner is good in the game, though. I think they are very effective, and I think Eidos Montreal did a good job with the game, though. But there is that part of me that kind of wish that you could switch to other team members, that you're not stuck to just playing Star-Lord, though. I mean, this is sort of different than, say, what Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, The Black Order was, where you could switch to other members and try them out, to be exact. So I'm a little bit disappointed you can't do that in the game, though. Does it ruin the game in any way? No, it really does not, but it is a little bit unfortunate, though. And while I am glad that this game is a single-player experience, I have nothing wrong with that, though, there is some part of me that kind of wishes that there was an option for maybe either a co-op part where one person plays Star-Lord, the other one could play like either Gamora, Drax, Rocket Raccoon, or Groot. And also, it is a little unfortunate you can't really play any of the other characters in the game, though. So it's a little bit unfortunate, though. Again, it doesn't ruin the game. It's just a little bit unfortunate, to be exact. The other thing I do want to point out is the visuals. And I will say that while the visuals in the game aren't necessarily bad, it's okay. I mean, it's not exactly the greatest looking game out there or anything like that. I've seen games that look better, like games like Psychonauts 2 or even Halo Infinite and all that stuff. So it's not the best looking game, but it's not terrible, to be exact, though. So it certainly isn't a awful looking game. It's just don't expect it to sort of blow you out of the water with visuals or anything like that. And last but not least, I do want to talk about how the game certainly has it's sort of a light RPG type of a game. Now, that doesn't make it necessarily a bad game. It's just that if you're going into expecting some kind of RPG experience, though, you're not going to find that here. Compared to, say, something like I'm going to mention this game again, Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, how that definitely is an action RPG. This one, I mean, you do earn experience points, but those are just used to unlock your just abilities or anything. You don't really level up your character or anything like that, though. And while you do find items to basically upgrade Star-Lord's equipment, though, that's basically it. So as far as anything as RPG goes, it's extremely light. Again, not a bad thing, but those who are going in expecting to see maybe like an action RPG like Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 was, might be a little bit disappointed in that. Overall, though, Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy is a good game, though. At its best, though, it has that MCU vibe to the game. The story is good, though. The game runs very well on the Xbox Series S, especially with the new update. The gameplay is fun, and I definitely love the 80s soundtrack to the game, though. At its worst, however, is that sometimes you do wish that there were more songs that they added to it, though. It's a little unfortunate you can't really pick any of the other players to play in the game, though. That would have been nice. The visuals, well, not terrible. They're not really anything. They don't really blow you away or anything like that. And the game has very little to no RPG element to the game. Again, not bad. It's just, it would have been nice if they added something like that. But either way, Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy is a fun game from Square Enix, though. I'm glad that they made this game, though, but at the same time, it kind of makes me angry at Square Enix, though. Because playing Guardians of the Galaxy, it makes me kind of wish we could have gotten a good Avengers game from them. We really could have gotten that. Instead, they were so hell-bent on doing a live service and all that stuff that it ended up hurting that game more and more compared to what Guardians of the Galaxy turned out. So it kind of makes me, I'm happy that this game's doing well, but it kind of makes me angry at how Square Enix, how we got a good game from, a Marvel game from them, but a bad game from them as well. It kind of sort of the situation with EA and Star Wars. I mean, great that Jedi Fallen Order did well, but very angry at EA the fact that it took like 2 bad games and of course several cancellations to get a good Star Wars game from them for once though. So it's kind of the situation I am with the Guardians of the Galaxy. But either way, Guardians of the Galaxy is a good game. Hope you guys enjoyed as much as I did though. Okay, before I end this video, I want to give my thoughts on the French Dispatch, though. For those who are not familiar, this is the new movie that is from Wes Anderson. He's known for doing these unique, odd movies like The Aquatic Life of Steve Zuko, Grand Budapest Hotel, favorite movie of mine, though, and of course his last one, The Island of Dogs, though. Now, this one is definitely not only a Wes Anderson film, it's mostly an artsy type of a film, though. It basically evolves around this paper called the French Dispatch, which is run by this person played by Bill Murray, who does a good job in this movie, though. And you basically hear 3 short stories, though. One evolves around a artist in a mental institution or in a prison. The other one evolves around a youth forming a revolution, and the other one evolves around a police commissioner who happens to be a chef, though. It follows the way the cameras are shot, though, is very similar to what you see with in like Grand Budapest Hotel, and everything sometimes is often viewed in a 2D style of approach. On top of that, it basically you have some clips though that are in complete black and white, some that are in cartoon animations, and some of them are in color though. So to me, the film is a very artsy style of a film. Now, that may or may not appeal to some folks. Some folks are going to be okay with that, some may not though. And if you're going into this movie expecting Bill Murray like you saw him in Ghostbusters Afterlife or say Stripes or Caddyshack, you're not going to get that kind of Bill Murray. You're going to get the Bill Murray you may have seen in The Aquatic Life of Steve Zuko or in like, you know, the Grand Budapest Hotel though. So for me, it's a unique kind of a film though. It's one of those films that you probably will see get nominated for an Academy Award or, you know, do well like a Cannes or Sundance Film Festival to be exact. So, to me, overall, it's a good film though. It's not going to appeal to everyone though, but if you're a fan of Wes Anderson's film or enjoyed movies like Grand Budapest Hotel or Island of Dogs though, you'll probably like The French Dispatch though. I gotta give Wes Anderson credit for how he shoots his film. He's sort of a unique kind of a director. It's in a way how Quentin Tarantino is a unique kind of director for the style of films that he does to be exact. So for me, it's a good film though. Isn't going to appeal to a whole lot of folks, but if you enjoyed Wes Anderson's film, you'll probably enjoy The French Dispatch. Okay, this concludes my video review of Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy for the Xbox Series X and S, plus my thoughts on the movie The French Dispatch. And again, these are my opinion. What are yours? What are your thoughts about Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, though? Do you think it is a good game, though? And if so, have you picked the game up? And which version are you playing Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, though? Do you feel like this is do you feel like we should have gotten this kind of game out of the Avengers? Or do you think it was the right decision for them to go with the live service approach? And what is your thought about The French Dispatch? Have you seen the movie yet, though? Are you a Wes Anderson fan in any way? Do you think the film is too... Do you like the artsy style that they aim for? Or do you think it's a little too artsy for you to be exact? And And I'm sorry. Yeah, if that's the kind of film you're into, though. Anyway, sound off on the comment section below. Let me know what you think. And if you like this film, if you like this video, I hope you hit the like button. I would appreciate it. And I hope you do subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you do, make sure you hit the bell icon for notifications of any new videos I put up. Also, feel free to share this video if you want to, and feel free to donate to my channel if you like. You could do it through PayPal me or Patreon. Links will be in the description of this video, assuming you're watching this on YouTube. And I'll see you again next time when I do another video. Hopefully that'll be soon. Until then, from Southern California, I wish you all a good day then. Bye!